is good, my fellow peasants? How you doing? So today there's loads of Final Fantasy stories, little ones that don't fit into their own video that I want to cover behind this ugly ass desk that really makes no sense. So if you are a fan of the franchise, stay tuned because there's loads of little things I want to cover. And the first one is Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is coming to Tokyo Game Show. So we kind of knew that. That's between the 12th of September and the 15th of September. But Nomura recently confirmed that we will be seeing more Shinra characters to be revealed. And I love that, especially considering I just did a video, check this out, on just such a topic. Hype I am to see how they build Shinra up as a corporation. And yeah, we'll be getting more. And I'm just going to say it now, Scarlet. Yeah, she's gonna be the one. Like we saw Heidegger, we saw a little bit of President Shinra, but not a full shot of him. But we'll see Scarlet. I'm betting it now. 30 schmeckies. 30 schmecks. There we go. If I'm wrong, you all get 30 schmecks. Everyone in the community. Oh god, regret that so bad. Quickly, while we're on the topic of Scarlet, so I was looking for a shot of her for my video the other day. I just got to point out Scarlet cosplays. I mean. Oh, it's the laziest cosplay in the world. I mean, it just is. Like any blonde chick just straps on a red dress and suddenly she's cosplaying Scarlet. It's just ain't cosplay. I mean, I could go up to my girlfriend's room right now, grab one of her red dresses, and in fact, I will do it. Hold on. Oh, that feels good. I look good in this. Ooh. Now, admit. Who was a little bit disappointed? Comment section below. You were, weren't you? Scarlet cosplay bars. Some people were saying like Reno and Rude, and that they're more Turks rather than Shinra, but maybe Reeve Tuetsi as well. Either way, more Shinra, and also the Hardy Daytona bike, so the bike that we escaped with, will be on display along with a replica size Buster Sword. Alright, that is what it is. Also, Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind is coming next week. And then finally, in this article, they briefly spoke about the 8 Remastered, talking about that it was the French studio Dotemu who handled most of it. The game models were created and implemented by Access Games, and the PC version had certain exclusive features, and I think they mean the cheat modes and the speed modes and the god modes, I think. And Katase said that was because the PC has a higher hardcore player base who would like those features. Now, diving into the remaster, so I only just started it yesterday. I had some tech issues, so I had to stop the playthrough halfway. Fortunately, it's not because of the PC port. That was my PC, and for me, like, I'm gonna be honest, my bar for the remaster, it was pretty low. Like, if I can play it, it doesn't crash, it doesn't bug, and the soundtrack isn't next to horrifying, I'm happy. Because I've wanted to continue that playthrough for so long. So that's sort of where my bar was. But of course, I think with the title of Remastered and a price tag of $20 bloody or quid, it got people's expectations much higher for what this was going to be. I think it shows in these mixed reviews, that is garnering some criticisms, and I want to address some of them where I think they're unreasonable and reasonable. So what I find funny about Katasa saying is they wanted to appeal to hardcore players is some of the analog controlling, I think it's digital, so some of the turning is very sharp, like 90 degree-ish. It doesn't feel as smooth. It makes speed runs, people have like learned muscle memory, it kind of throws them off. I even think with the DualShock, like the DualShocking isn't there, so some of the triggers and the action commands and even things like the GFs, I think the inputs are slightly delayed, so you can't actually get nutty through the roof sort of things, because there's like a delay on the input. So it doesn't actually handle that well from what I'm hearing for hardcore players. Now for what the other concerns are, is of course the visuals. Now looking at the visuals, does it look better? Does it bring a breath of fresh air or life into the game? I think so. It's nice to be able to see the characters. I think Squall's getting a lot of complaints because he's kind of anime-ish, but the other characters look pretty good. But what I think it is more things like the background. The background, they've kind of just done a smoothing job. It's not really that much more higher res. It's still kind of blurry. In fact, compared to the characters being so much sharper now and the models in the foreground, it actually kind of emphasizes how blurry the background looks. And in fact, I think you can see sort of in the dev where Square Enix kind of cheekily cut corners between the background and foreground renders, it just stands out so much more, and I think a lot of people were expecting that to be overhauled, as well as things like the aspect ratio. It's in 4:3. People wanted 16:9. 16:9. Did I say 69? But of course, that was going to be always too much work for remaster. That would be a real, like, from the ground up overhaul, Crash Team Racing, Crash Bandicoot style overhaul, which of course is a higher price tag than just $20. So we always kind of knew that overhaul wasn't going to be that extensive, and that would be a ground up overhaul. And I think that is what is causing a lot of these mixed reviews. And this is what I'm going to say. This is why when they announced that it was a remastered, my first reaction was, you what, mate? You what? I was kind of surprised, to be honest, that they were going to do a remaster, because by Square's own words, I think this was back in 2016, they said that FF10 and below, they would never bother with a remaster. That's what they said. They said they would only do a remake because a remaster would be too much work, it'd be pretty unviable, and they wouldn't really be able to live up to the title of a remaster. So then they went ahead and did it, and lo and behold, yep, it's not enough work that people are happy with. And it's kind of underwhelming people's expectations. So why Square Enix backtracked on that logic, I do not know. But there we go, FF8 Remastered. I'll give a fuller review of it when I get there. But moving on to the next tale, Luminous Studios is back, baby. So this was, of course, the engine that made FF15. It was a real big, oh my god. And the amount of things like stories and cutscenes and even like quests, which I think were just done very haphazardly and lazily, was mostly because when Tabata came on board, he was spending so much time working as essentially a tech director, trying to come through all these different tech problems and issues, because Square Enix had this idea in their head. They were going to create a new engine that could take down the West. And of course, we know, for everyone who followed 15, the ordeal that stretched out into. But then they created their own studio. Luminous Productions had its own team put in place. And I do commend Square for trying to continue, because there's definitely potential there. And it did do wonderful things in 15. I'm not saying it didn't. But now they have reappeared with a backstage graphics demo. So I haven't seen this there, created by Luminous Studios in partnership with Nvidia, and of course the last tech demo we really had for Luminous, should I say one of the first ones, it was the Agnes Philosophy, and that was amazing. So I'm pretty hyped to see what this is about. Let's go. Now, from my understanding, the main difference, and I'm terrible at explaining tech, it's using ray tracing, which, from what I read, it's the shadows, the ambience, the global lighting, reflections, all happening in real time. And well, makeup desk, chick. I love the light coming off that bulb a second ago. And from my understanding, this is like cinematic kind of quality that can be brought into the entirety of the game. Is the idea, like cutscenes seeming more cinematic. Oh wow, that skin detail, those pores, god damn, those eyes, even the detail in those lips. Wow, she just gotta do her makeup though. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of expecting dragons and occult type magics and flying over slum-like cities. Even just like the finer hairs that you can see on like the chin and the cheeks. Wow. Oh, cool. You really see it there. Wow. The way the shadows, those subtle transitions of lighting are phenomenal. I never know how excited to get for this kind of content, to be honest. Like, I was saying, she just can't do her makeup. No explosion or zombie apocalypse starting at the end. No. Okay, that really was just a showcase to show off the tech. So yeah, ray tracing, to bring a more cinematic style quality to the bulks of the games. Now, how do I feel about this? You know, as excited as I know this gets some people, like some people are so hyped by tech, and fair play to you, but I still stand by my concerns that these produced tech demos that are probably running on very high-end computers, while the card is admittedly a 1,000 US piece of top-tier computer setup, Luminous use of a commercially available component indicates where gaming technology could go over the next 5 years. But how that translates into a real game, how that translates into plot and character development and decent side quests, of course, that's a whole other different story. And even a game time that isn't a 20-hour showcase, instead of like a 40-50 hour experience, which I think all Final Fantasy fans want. Luminous Productions can do a side product or project, another game. Then on the back end of the remake, go for FF16 on a well fleshed out, well developed and workable engine. Then FF16 can be the nuts, it can be the bogs dollocks. But with FF15 being used as it was as a testing ground for very speculative, dodgy, kind of cumbersome tech, yeah, I don't want to see that happen again. So there we go, guys. Luminous Studios, and just another step along the path towards ultra realism. You know what? I do quite enjoy this free-balling format of video. That I've decided I'm going to add a little section to it. I'm going to try to insert myself into your day-to-day life, and this section is going to be Final Fantasy Peasant Gets Deep! Deep, 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 deep. We're going to get deep, and today's deep is brought to us by Reno. And when this kit popped out to me, it sent a shudder on my spine. So a pro isn't someone who sacrifices himself for his job. That's just a fool. Oh, I love that. I love that. And I'm bringing that up mostly because I've just been doing Heaven's Ward this morning and the Alexander raids, and that was almost exactly the message that came at the end of it. So I feel the need to share it. Though specifically with Alexander, you know, the concept that was producing and the message at the end of it, I feel, was in their attempt to create perfectionism in their work, trying to create the perfect machine in this case, they had created so many self-sacrifices and wrongdoings and mishaps, and they had suffered as individuals so much in this ideal of perfectionism and attaining it, that yeah, they really sacrificed aspects of themselves. And of course, while Reno here isn't literally talking about sacrifice in terms of an emotional, personal sense, he's talking literally sacrificing for yourself for a job is a fool. But I think the deeper message that this is giving to us is the ideology, the culture. I've seen it so often that we live in today. It's so rat racy. I think there's a beautiful song, light up the herb, the rat race is strong, the people's minds are too far gone. I'm going to get demonetized. But I love that saying. But I see it so often. I see people who think that the achievements, the measure of their success, the bragging rights that I often see among social groups is based on arbitrary things like wage or job title or status or manager or how many times you've been promoted. And yeah, at the same time, those are so often the people I see who are deeply unhappy. And this channel was really growing and exploding, and I was having a chat with 3 other fellas, and this other chap was boasting about his job, and he was just miserable. His day-to-day life, I knew his day-to-day life was miserable. I was still earning loads at this point, and I was on a tipping scale. And then the bloke next to us, he was on a minimum wage, working just in a guitar shop on minimum wage, and he always had a smile on his face every day. And when you look at that dynamic and that conversation, society would place the happy dude right at the bottom of the tier as the underachiever, yet he is, by exactly what Reno says here, the one who's winning. And those kind of moments, those kind of realizations open me up to not being that fool, that fool who tries to attain the unattainable, who tries to achieve happiness through status and position and work career. Now, not to say you can't get happiness through your career. In fact, if you are one of these people who feels like you are sacrificing yourself for the job that you are doing, that's hard. In fact, I'm still trying to figure it out now. Now, there's been some suggestions on how you do that. Some life gurus, life coaches say attaching your serotonin receptors to your job is the key to it. You notice how you can play like 12 hours of gaming back to back and think nothing of it, yet 12 hours of work, even if you enjoy it. And I can specifically attest this because I could play Final Fantasy endlessly, yet doing this channel changed all that completely. I stopped getting the same serotonin response because it had now become work. And that's the thing, finding happiness in your work when it is work in your mind is next to impossible. There's like this paradoxical reverse logic kind of thing that happens where, again, even if you're doing the task for a hobby or work, even if it's the same task, it can feel different in your mind. And that really taught me that it's not about what you do. It's simply the mindset that you approach it with, and finding the little things to be grateful for, to be happy for, to notice and recognize and have fun with the things you do. And I think it was Alan Watts who said it perfectly. He said someone who washes dishes, one can be seeing, I've got to do this dish, then I've got to do next dish, and they can see all the dishes that they've got to do, and they've got to do 1,000 of them, and then tomorrow they've got to do another 1,000, and then next day another 1,000. Or that one person who just picks up that one singular plate, and that's all there is. There's just the one plate. Nothing else. My mind isn't thinking about anything else. I'm going to look at this one plate, and I'm going to have fun with it. And Alan Watts said, go like this, go like this, get that technique. Oh yeah, and then all of a sudden, I'm really enjoying this. I'm flowing with it. It's way too easy to create these standards of what we wanted to achieve at this point, when we don't think we're there yet. We created these arbitrary timelines of what we wanted to accomplish, and that's been instilled from us from when we were young. I remember when I was 12 years old getting asked, what you going to do for a job? What do you want to do for a living? At freaking 12. And then throughout the rest of my life, especially leading up to early adulthood, saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to become? You need to become something. Just the constant narrative that you need to become something because what you are right now is not good enough. That's absolutely the subliminal implication that people come away with. And that constant, I need to become something, I need to keep up with some arbitrary rat race, is what leads us, I feel, to the point where we think we have to sacrifice aspects of ourselves. That is today's deep. A pro isn't someone who sacrifices some of a job, it's just and then finally, the last thing I want to leave off on, because this was also very beautiful, I found. Oh yeah, here it is. The narrative director, or direction. I think they also did some Dark Knight side quest, level quests, as well as some of the visuals behind Shadowbringers. So basically, she's done a lot of work on the new expansion, and at this panel, it got recognized, and it's just beautiful. Let's watch. Look at that. Loud applaud. A standing ovation.
She's overwhelmed.
And it brings her to tears. I love seeing stuff. This is it, guys. This is it. In fact, this ties in with the Reno job. This is when you see someone who is emotionally in love with their work. They've put a piece of themselves into it. And to have moments of milestone recognition like this. It's beautiful.
So overwhelmed that I don't know if we can continue doing the panel.
Ah, I love that. I love that. And I love 14. Now, that's what I've noticed from playing 14. Just the amount of heart and soul that I'm recognizing. I'm going to be doing a Heavensward review real soon because it's just blown me away. The depth of the messaging and the themes and the boldness of the characters they introduce, and of course the raids and the dungeons and the mechanics and just the world as a whole, the immersiveness and even the character developments that we see. I think that more than anything, that's what's blown me away the most, the character developments. And I finally understand what people mean when they say that Final Fantasy 14 at times can feel more mainline as an RPG than even some mainline Final Fantasies. And I suppose just looking at this and rounding out this video, that perhaps in your job it's not even about trying to attain a day-to-day satisfaction, although of course that would be nice. I don't know how many people have that, and even if they do have it, how long does it last? Where repetition often breeds not contempt, boredom, dissatisfaction, feeling like you're not moving towards a goal. And we all need to feel that we have a purpose, and maybe it's moments like this, having moments of recognition and praise and feeling satisfied and reflecting on what you've accomplished rather than moving on to the next task. Now, of course, we're not all going to be gifted with standing ovations, but being our own standing ovation, giving ourselves one, maybe that's where the answer lies. I don't know where it lies. There we go, guys. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section below. Any of those topics, how you find an 8 Remaster, 7 Remake hype, TGS. Until the next video, guys. Goodbye.